Trying to smell good in 2023 can be pretty expensive. Just like everything else these days, prices on designer fragrances are skyrocketed and men don't want to spend $200 to smell good. Believe it or not, there was a time when I only owned one fragrance. And I definitely wasn't in a position to spend $200, $300, or $400 on a fragrance, but we'll talk more about that later. Right now, I'm gonna give you 10 super dope, inexpensive fragrances that deserve a spot in your collection for life. First up, we have Guess 1981 Los Angeles, and this one mimics Versace Eros and is really all about love, passion, and desire, and captures the essence of a strong and confident man that knows how to handle himself. Like Eros, Guess 1981 Los Angeles is this delicate balance between fresh and heavy. So no matter if you need a fragrance for spring break or fall outings with the family, all your bases are covered. You can wear this one on date nights and know your lady will be thinking he smells delicious, and even more so when she knows you got a little more coin to spare. If you want real world feedback, my wife purchased my original bottle of Eros, and this one is a close contender. Guess 1981 Los Angeles smells classic without smelling old, and I would say that its performance is above newer formulations of Eros, so at its $25 price point, it's a steal. Our next fragrance was released in 2015 and has been a standout fragrance ever since. That fragrance comes from Armaf, and this one is Club de Nuit Intense Man. Despite how popular this fragrance is, it can still be found for under $50, and that's a bargain for a good take on Creed Aventus. Let me be clear, this is not a carbon copy of Creed Aventus, but it's close enough, especially if you're on a budget. Basically, what you get here is the smoky pineapple Aventus batch with killer longevity. This one is a manly fragrance from opening to dry down. Plus, with limited sweetness, the lemon shines through here without smelling like a household cleaner. I have a special relationship with our next fragrance because I gotta give a little input on what this fragrance should be, and the fragrance comes from Parfum Vintage, and it's none other than Alpine Winds. Alpine Winds is a clone of Creed's Silver Mountain Water, and if you're new here, it's one of my favorite fragrances. Parfum Vintage reached out to me to see what I thought it would take to make a good Silver Mountain Water clone, and overall, I think they did a good job. This one opens up with bergamot, but it's a bit bitter, then smoothly transitions into that legendary tea note of Silver Mountain Water. The usual suspects are here in the note breakdown, and it's a bit magnetic in nature, making it the perfect compliment getter for any occasion. Next, we have Fructus Virgins, which is a recreation of Tom Ford's Lost Cherry. It's perfect for people who love fragrances that are sweet, and it was a masterclass on how to be sweet without being overpowering. When Lost Cherry originally released, I was not a fan, but Fructus Virgin changed my entire outlook on what Lost Cherry brought to the table. In my opinion, Fructus Virgin is well suited for any occasion or any season, and I wouldn't be surprised if it became a signature scent for you or your spouse. Early on, I felt Fructus Virgin was much more than a cherry fragrance and maintain that feeling today. It's a perfect blend of tonka and vanilla and matches Lost Cherry nicely. Next, we have a newcomer to the collection, and this one is Armaf's Untold. Armaf Untold is inspired by the ever popular Baccarat Rouge 540. It's sweet, it's warm, it's woody, and it's super sophisticated. It's one of those fragrances that make people take notice and ask, what are you wearing? As I mentioned, Untold is a clone of Baccarat Rouge 540, and Baccarat Rouge 540 is one of the most cloned fragrances on the market today, and to be one of the best, if not the best clone of BR 540 says a lot. Well, compared to the fragrances on my list today, Untold is a newcomer to the collection and has already solidified its space on my list of clones for life, so that should give you greater insight on what you're getting with this one. Untold is this lively, sexy cotton candy fragrance that may prompt you and your lady to do some untold things of your own. Untold is a masterful take on a masterpiece fragrance that will transcend easily over time. Now, I know we already spoke about Armaf's take on Aventus, but in my opinion, Pineapple Vintage Intense is one of the best, if not the best, Creed Aventus clone on the market today. I'm on my second bottle of Pineapple Vintage Intense, and it delivers in so many ways. The longevity is there, the projection is there, and it's such a high impact fragrance from start to finish. Unlike Club de Nuit Intense, with Pineapple Vintage Intense, you get the opening of a fruity vintage batch with more of a smoky dry down that lingers for hours. As I already alluded to, the performance complaints of a vintage are solved for here. I did my original review of Pineapple Vintage back in 2017, and Kevin Samuels also mentioned that year that Pineapple Vintage was his most complimented fragrance, hands down. I just realized that I owe this next fragrance a full review, but in a nutshell, Armagh Craze is a fragrance that I strongly recommend and will hold on to for as long as I can. And for about $25, you're getting a near identical match of Pegasus from Parfums de Marly. In fact, the only reason why I picked up the original bottle of Pegasus is because I wanted to complete my Parfums de Marly collection. No matter if it's in the air or close whiff, it's extremely difficult to tell these two fragrances apart. The bitter almond and heliotrope bring this warmth and comfort, all while maintaining this woody and nutty undertone. Plus, hints of vanilla add the subtle sweet touch that will have your lady craving for more. Next up, we have Al Haramain's Amber Oud Gold Edition, which is a fantastic take on Xerjoff's Yerba Pura. Now, I don't think this is for everyone, but if you're confident in who you are as a person, this is a must-have. Amber Oud Gold Edition is a unisex fragrance, and some people will believe this one is better suited for a woman. But I believe this is the perfect opportunity to change the game and pull your woman in closer with something different from the norm. My wife loves this fragrance on me, and the compliment factor here is high, which in my opinion is primarily attributed to how seamlessly the heart of this fragrance blends. It provides this fruity array of amber, pineapple, and other gourmand notes alongside their take on amber. The next fragrance was designed to make the wearer feel empowered and successful, no matter if you're at a business meeting, enjoying a date night with your boo thing, or even just enjoying a night out with some friends. Over the years, I'm sure I've sold hundreds of bottles of this fragrance because I've recommended it early and often for those of you out there who are looking to make an impression and smell amazing. The fragrance is none other than that of 1981X, yet again from the house of Alexandria fragrances. Featuring sweet honey, spicy tobacco, creamy vanilla, and warm lavender, 1981X will ensure that you smell amazing all night long. Back when I was doing the weekly fragrance rotation, 1981X would often find itself in the champion seat because people would fall head over heels for this fragrance. I've allowed people to borrow it, I've worn it on multiple occasions, and even done giveaways, and the result has always been the same. 1981X is a clone of Xerjoff's 1861 Naxos, and I feel justified saying that this one is confidence in a bottle. So if you need a little boost, then give this one a second look. If you're feeling down and out, the multiple questions about what you are wearing will be an easy pick-me-up. Our final fragrance is number one for a reason. Aside from the nostalgic feeling I get with this fragrance, I feel that this is where clones stand out. The number one fragrance that will remain with me for life is from Parfums Vintage, and this one is Intrigo Devastante Intense. This is a clone of a discontinued fragrance that is near impossible to find at a respectable price point. The mid notes of this fragrance were delicately blended and intentionally highlight the iris, bergamot, and lavender within this fragrance, while the amber and the powdery-like artemisia provide the sensual vibe to the overall composition. Intrigo Devastante Intense is the perfect blend of florals, spice, and woody notes to revive the legendary Dolce & Gabbana blind man from its slumber. Like I mentioned earlier, there was a point in my life when I only owned one fragrance, and that fragrance happened to be Gucci Guilty. Money was tight, like super tight. I was down bad, and my wife blind bought it for me as a gift, and to this day, she swears I secretly hated it. And I didn't, mostly. Since then, I've been fortunate enough to accumulate a lot more fragrances, as you can tell. I got a lot of niche, a ton of designer, but what you probably don't know is that I own a ton of clone fragrances as well. Look, I personally don't see anything wrong with owning clones. Fragrances are a luxury, not a necessity, and I believe that every man should be able to look good, feel good, and smell even better no matter what his budget may be. And a good clone fragrance can do just that without breaking the bank. And if you like this video, then be sure to check out this next one where I lived on only 10 fragrances for 6 whole months.